Good evening and welcome to Daily Politics, your go-to destination for all things politics, policy and governance. I'm Shafi'u Suleiman, and tonight we start this off by diving into some of the most compelling political stories of the day. The Nigeria National Petroleum Corporation Limited says it is seeking to engage reputable and credible operations and maintenance companies to operate and maintain the Daware Refining and Petrochemical Company and the Kaduna Refining and Petrochemical Company. This was disclosed in a statement on Friday on its official X handle. In August 2021, the Federal Executive Council FEC approved the awards of contracts for the rehabilitation of Warri and Kaduna refineries for $1.48 billion. But despite spending huge resources, the refineries are yet to start production after countless reassurances by the NNPCL. And the Senate has warned the public against what it described as vicious attempts to tarnish its image and that of its leadership. The Senate's position was contained in a statement on Friday by the Senate leader's Directorate of Media and Public Affairs. The statement comes amidst allegations against Bamidele, signed by convener of the Procurement Transparency Group, Public Procurement Transparency Group, David Udo, which accused Bamidele of reassuring the Chief Executive Officer of the Rural Electrification, or rather pressuring the Executive Officer of the Rural Electrification Agency, Mr. Abba Aliyu, into award contracts to companies linked to the senator in violation of the Public Procurement Act of 2007. Now, let's go straight to unpack our talking points on the program tonight. A federal high court in Lagos had in February this year asked the federal government to determine the prices of milk, flour, salt, sugar, bicycles and their spare parts, motorcycles, vehicles and their spare parts, and petroleum products such as petrol, diesel and kerosene within 7 days, following a suit filed by a senior lawyer, Barrister Femi Falana, against the Price Control Board and the Attorney General of the Federation, aligned with Section 4 of the Price Control Act of 2004. Now, the High Court order ultimately led to the establishment of the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, FCCPC, even though without repealing the Price Control Act. Now, worried by the rising cost of goods and services in the country, the FCCPC has issued a 1-month notice to traders and market stakeholders to address what it termed exploitative pricing practices. This directive was announced by the FCCPC Executive Vice Chairman, Tunji Bello, during a 1-day stakeholders engagement in Abuja on Thursday. The Commission highlighted the increasing issue of what it called unreasonable pricing of goods and services and unethical practices of market associations, such as price fixing. This is coming at the time the National Bureau of Statistics, NBS, reported an inflation rate of 33.40%, with food inflation exceeding 40%, exacerbating the problem. It is against this backdrop we'll be engaging with the National Chairman of the Chairman Agricultural Commodities Association of Nigeria, Sadiq Daware, and Barrister Junaidu Zakari, who is the Chairman Singa Market Development Association, Kano, to dissect these burning issues. Gentlemen, you're most kindly welcome for joining the conversation. Thank you for joining.
Thank you, Mr.
Okay. Okay, let's go straight to the conversation now by asking you, as a key player, if you like, a very strategic stakeholder in the agricultural value chain, for instance, what was your initial reaction to the directive by the Commission that marketers should crash prices within, 1 month?
I think, are you talking to me? My name is Junaidu Zakari.
Yes, Madam Junaid.
The chairman, Singa Market Development Association.
Oh, okay, I think, yes, so you have to redirect the question now, because you deal largely with the consumer goods and services. Let me first of all get you also your reaction to this directive by the Federal Government Commission, that is the FCCPC. Yes, Junaid.
Okay, well, as you rightly said, that the chairman of the
CCPC
this morning announced this ultimatum, that he gave a 1 month ultimatum to make sure that the price of commodities should be crushed. Actually, we have heard about the news, and from our own end, we look at it as starting from the traders, I think is something very difficult, because the traders are just buying finished products and sell after putting their profits in their markets. And however, I think this should be started from the producers also, or from the government itself, because the producers also are getting light from government, are getting forex also from government, and some other tax issues. So this, I think, is some of the reason they were given, which they are relying on to increase their prices in most cases, if we talk about increment. So I think incessant increment of price have been going on based on these reasons they are claiming, actually. And starting from the traders, actually, I think it's not. It's just like trying to shift the burden from the government to the traders directly, or to take attention of citizens from the government side to the traders, actually. But the government has power to even decide on what price the food item should be sold, and it has power also to subsidize. It has power also to give the forex at lower prices, and it has power also to reduce the tariff of power also. So a lot of things actually the government can do to tackle such problem of incessant inflation of food commodities.
All right, okay. Now, if I understand your position, the government is putting the cart before the horse, but it said the decision, or rather the statement, was taken based on a survey that was conducted, which indicates that traders or marketers like you are hiking the price unreasonably. What determines your pricing? How do you arrive at the prices? Because even, if you go to the market, you find out that there are differences in terms of prices. You can buy an item from this shop, and then the next shop you find it lesser in terms of price and so on. Why is it so? Based
on experience as wholesalers in this, and retailers also in the food and the other commodities in Kano, actually, the rate of the profit that we are making is between 2% to 5% mostly. So if you look at this profit rate, actually, it is not that high, whereby we know there are some... hello? whereby some manufacturers are making 25 to 30, some even 50% on those items they are producing. So actually, the government should look into that sector also, decide, some measures that the government should take to make sure the production cost is low, or it is coming low, so that the prices of food will come low also. So that's the benchmark of most profit we are making. It's between 5% and 2% to 5%, so which is reasonable.
That you are incessantly increasing this price of goods, in the market. Okay, let me get you, because you are talking about earlier the cost of production, which is beyond you. What you deal with is the finished product, but then how? Tell me, at what level? Because also government policies largely contribute, or rather determine pricing of goods and services. To what extent does the policies being implemented by the government affect, the pricing of this goods and goods that you deal with, for instance?
So actually, as I said earlier, the government policies actually will contribute a lot if the government can, come up with some policies where to tackle this problem. So let's take an example for what has happened around 2018 and 2020 or 2021 during Buhari regime, whereby they brought some interventions like anchor borrowers to the farmers. At that time, actually, the production of rice is very much enough, and the farmers also enjoy such interventions, and that is no longer available. But the government should look into this, and even if it can modify the interventions or the policies, but it is very important. And secondly is the subsidize the price of fertilizer and so some other agrochemical product also. So this also will help to have more production. The government also should have some intervention for the business people, reasonable or real business people, to have more factories of food production. Let's assume like pasta, macaroni, couscous, and some spaghetti. If you look at this product, it is one of the products, and the flour also. The foods that we are using majorly in this country beside rice. But we have less than 10 factories that are manufacturing this pasta, comparing Italy, whereby almost 3,600 companies that are manufacturing pastas. If you look at this gap compared to their population and our population, so we have almost 240. We multiply them almost into 4 times. But see the kind of manufacturers, the companies that are producing some line of food. So actually, this also should be taken into consideration. And this will also create a competitive environment whereby the prices of such kind of food will come down. Because this, we are suffering from monopoly from even food producers in Nigeria. They monopolize the sector, and what they are producing is low, and they are monopolizing the sector, and they are making huge profit actually. So this also will be a solution if government will take a look into it.
If I may come in, so you also agree to the fact that producers of this group products, if you like, or consumables, are also taking advantage of the situation. If you say they are hiking the prices or they are monopolizing the market because of the inability to have competitors.
Yes.
Okay,
So these are some of the measures that the government should take. And the last one I wanted to mention is the security. Government should enhance the security sector also to, create enabling environment for the farmers so that the production of food will also be high. All these, if government can look into it, inshallah, it will, tackle the issue of this incessant inflation of food items.
Right, okay, let's bring in Sadiq Daware, who happens to be the chairman, Agricultural Commodities Association of Nigeria, into the conversation. You are coming in at a point, Barrister Junaidu is talking about the need to create an enabling environment for food production in the country. Thank you very much for joining us, Sadiq.
Thank you very much, Nice, for having me this evening.
Right. Okay, let's go straight, by asking you your initial reaction, if you like, or your thoughts concerning this directive by the FCCPC, which is the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, that you have a moratorium of 1 month to crash, the prices of commodities in your own case. What was your reaction to that?
Thank you very much. My reaction, and indeed reaction to all Nigerians, is that this policy, this important government regulatory agency is bringing to me is harsh, to me is not friendly. And first, government need to realize that a producer and indeed a merchant take this produce, it undergoes a process. He calculates the cost, including the logistics requirement, to bring it closer to the end user. It is not his intention to increase the price, but it is the reflection of the cost of production. Nigerians need to remember also that recently, government has increased the cost of electricity, which is, to me, is not a good decision at this time, and it's a reflection of what is happening for the end user of produce in the market. Government also increased the price of petroleum products. Today, a liter of petrol costs close to 1,000 naira. How do you expect a farmer? How do you expect a processor? How do you expect a merchant sell his commodity as expected by the government? Government should reconsider this. Government should bring all relevant stakeholders in the sector, deliberate, and come up with an acceptable policy that is acceptable by all Nigerians. And it's then and there that Nigerians can be happy and every other person can go to the market freely and buy. But imposing sanctions, imposing policies that are not friendly, especially at this critical time when there is high insecurity rate in the country, where there are high cost of living, to me, this thing come at a very odd time, and this old agency needs to reconsider it.
Okay, the need to reconsider. Let me get back to Barrister Junaidu. I understand he has other engagements. Barrister Junaidu, you have 1 month, perhaps, by the directive of the FCCPC to crash the prices. What will happen if perhaps you fail to heed to this directive, or what are you doing as an association to engage the government with all of those concerns you raised around production and cost of production and an enabling environment for producers to be able to make inroads? What do you intend to do going forward?
So, we actually even confused because I don't know whether the FCCPC, they want us to go below the even purchasing price, or the actual profit we are making. I don't know. So, but as I said earlier, they have to start from the producers, or they have to start from themselves at government to see what to do to reduce the cost of production. And we should have at least, if possible, some, benchmark. If assuming the government should even pronounce the minimum retail price of rice, let's assume 50 kg, the government should have that benchmark or minimum selling price. So by having this, I believe the manufacturers will talk to the government on what they need to meet up with that government requirement of minimum retail price. Yes. So, but the government should announce how do they want us to do, or how do they want us to go?
Okay. All right. So if I understand, you require a template on how to reduce the cost. But
yes.
Yeah. But on your own case, I mean, or rather, from your own point of view, there are also concerns around, marketers deliberately hoarding, if you like, or making it difficult for consumers to access some of these goods, deliberately to make them, I mean, to push up the prices, so to speak. Or you buy at a lower rate, and then, after a few days, you jack up the price without any justification.
Actually, as an association, we are not in support of this act or attitude, and we are against it. And it's, I think, one of the areas that the FCCPC should come in to make sure that all this kind of attitude had been, eradicated from the business or businessmen or traders. Yes, I think this is.
So, as an association,
it is right.
What measures are you taking as an association to ensure that this does not exist, among traders, or middlemen or dealers, those who get these products to the end users? Because part of the concern is that there are people who are. What the government is saying is that there are people who are engaging in pricing, if you like. Fixing the prices. How true is this allegation, and how do you intend to tackle it?
Mostly, we try to organize sensitization program, because it's against the law of the nation, and it is also, the majority of those who are operating in this market, almost 99% are Muslim, and it is against the teaching of Islam also to hold such kind of items as food items for just making high profit. So beside all this, we are also working. We used to work with government also, government officials, to make sure that this has not happened in our market. We used to give some information to the regulatory agencies to handle the issues, or to tackle the issue.
Right. Okay, thank you very much, Barrister Junaidu Muhammad, who is the chairman, Singa Market Development Association, Kano, for your inputs on the program tonight. Thank you very much for joining.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay, and now going back to Sadiq Daware. Sadiq, earlier you were talking about, what do you call a very harsh policy or directive given by the government to commodity market, or to commodity players, now to crash the prices within the next 30 days. But the concern, or rather, the basis for the directive, according to this commission, is that a survey was conducted, and they discovered that there is increase, if you like, or arbitrary increase in prices of commodities as well, without justification. How true is this allegation?
Thank you very much. While we appreciate the effort of this agency in delivering their own mandate, they should also understand that it is not only the food items and other commodities that the prices have increased. It is with the connivance of the government that the increase in the cost of electricity, probably over 300%. What justification does government have or the Electricity Regulatory Agency have in increasing the cost of electricity in Nigeria? What justification does the central bank have in increasing the interest on loans? What justification do the NNPC and other players in that sector have in increasing the price of petroleum and petroleum products? This is a reflection of what is happening in the country. The retailer or a producer rely on the economics of production so that he can fix off his own profit margin. You remember very well that these things happen within a space of 2 years. Sometimes last 2 years, 3 years, the price of most of these items to some extent are stable, are fair. But government need to understand that the harsh policies bring about is what is causing this problem. As I've said earlier, the cost of petroleum, the cost of electricity, the high interest rate, and the logistic and transportation that is required, all these things is a reflection of what is happening in the country today. And we believe that if government is interested in bringing down the price of essential commodities, then they should touch those items first. Once the prices of those items come down, and I believe that the cost of either essential commodities certainly will come down. As I've said earlier, the petroleum product, the electricity, the interest on the loans from the commercial banks.
So how would you justify, if you like, or explain a situation whereby we are already getting some harvest, coming from the farms, but yet, the expectations is that once there is, we're getting new, produce to the market, the price of the old stock will crash. Why is it not going down, rather going up at this point in time?
You see, we should be realistic and understand how production goes around. I understood very well that the price of agro inputs to some extent has gone out more than 400%. Today, a farmer has to sell everything he has to go back to the farm and produce again. This is a recipe for hunger. People should understand that I cannot go to the market and buy a bag of fertilizer at 50 kg at the cost of 50,000 naira and expect me, after cultivation, to bring down the price of my own produce. Remember very well that larger percentage of Nigerian farmers, particularly those smallholder farmers, used to go and borrow money, either from their friends, from their relatives, or probably sometimes in a formal sector. And once you produce, then you have to cultivate. You have to calculate, how much is your cost of production? How much did you buy seed? How much did you buy fertilizer? How much did you buy agrochemicals? And how much did you use as cash to support the operational activities of your farming activities from land preparation to the harvest? It is then and there that you can be able to add up your profit margin. Once the cost of agro input is expensive, then certainly the produce that you have harvested must also come up, and consumers or Nigerians will look at this as if it is the farmer that has increased. No, the farmer that has been in this process for 3, 4, sometimes even 5 months get little profit margin out of its cost of production. So probably the government need to look at it, that who are the players in the sector that probably increases the price of item over a period of time. But I'm assuring Nigerians that farmers are honest people to some extent. Farmers don't put much profit margin after the harvest, and as such, government need to look at it very well. I also need to ask, there are questions that Nigerians ask, and probably many people don't consider. Let me tell you, for example, how did Nigeria get out of food crisis during COVID-19 pandemic, despite closure of Nigerian borders? Did people ask this question? Remember very well, during the COVID-19, despite all Nigerian borders were shut down by the government with a very good intention to support local production, you can see food commodities everywhere, and to some extent, they are relatively okay. Did Nigerians ever ask why this type of questions? How comes did the price of agricultural inputs were affordable and accessible during the COVID-19 pandemic? How did the productivity increase from probably 4 tons per hectare for rice to about 6 tons per hectare during the same period? Those are questions that Nigeria needs to ask, and I believe that the government should use that as an index for coming up with a policy that is acceptable by all Nigerians.
Okay, so if I understand, you're painting a picture of a very hopeless situation, considering the fact that there is no, the respite inside. Looking at what you've just said, farmers or commodity dealers and so on would have to rely on the current realities in terms of cost of production to be able to determine the prices. Give me a picture of what Nigerians should expect, considering the fact that there has been issues around, flood disaster that has been ravaging a number of states. As the last count, about 28 states are affected by this flooding. A number of farmlands have been washed away. What would be the outlook in terms of pricing? Looking at all of this, when we just oppose it with the current realities in terms of cost of production.
You see, this issue of flooding is an occurring thing. I can remember very well that sometimes last year and a year before last, flood has occurred throughout the country. It has rampaged the entire Nigerian farms. Animals were killed, houses were destroyed, infrastructure such as bridges and other things were destroyed. In fact, in some areas, that even human beings lost their lives. So year in, year out, we have been witnessing this type of things, but government to some extent did not make much significant effort to curtail this. We have been hearing from the NIMED telling Nigerians the weather conditions of the country, what to do, what not to do, how to do it, and whatever. But remember very well that anytime there is an issue like this, government will come out with a policy. And at the end of the day, these policies will not go down to the common man. For example, the 2023 flood, government reacted immediately by forwarding a supplementary budget to the National Assembly, a huge amount of money of over 100 billion naira. And those funds were approved by the National Assembly, and we have not seen any significant impact to those people that their farms were affected, their houses were destroyed. I'm sorry, I'm a grassroots person, I'm a practicing farmer, that I have my ears all the time on government policies and programs. So this is the problem. Most time, if this type of things happen, government and government officials only consider in the procurement for certain projects. For example, they will consider probably delivering money to repair bridges and roads or whatever, but they will not provide money to support a woman that loses entire means of livelihood, either by farming tomatoes, onions, or preparing chickens somewhere. The government is not making any effort. I mean, for a farmer that has lost all his farm produce, for example. So those are things, and it will be reflected on the price of this commodity during harvest. So it is not a surprise thing, and we believe that government need to call all relevant stakeholders in this sector so that we will see how we can be able to approach the situation and get out of this mess.
Okay, talking about support to ameliorate the situation, but the government is also considering, you know, I mean, or rather has approved a waiver, so to speak, for the importation of grains and so on, some of the major staples like rice, you know, and so on. Do you think that is the right way to go? Earlier, Barrister Junaidu was talking about the need for government to subsidize some of these commodities. Perhaps that could bring down the price. Do you think that that's the right way to go?
You see, we either take it or leave it. The only way we can get out of this situation is to support local production. Yeah. Importation of food is just a temporary measure. Please, government should not kill the intention of the present administration in supporting local production. What we need to do is that a government cannot be, we should understand that a serious government all the time support local production. Once local production is not supported, then we should understand that we have cause to regret. Anywhere across the globe, particularly on the agri sector, certain component has to be subsidized. It is then and there that the people remain in the business and can produce massively for the country to food so that we can guarantee food security. In fact, let me ask, where do they think that they can get this type of quantum of rice now? Most of the countries that are producing those essential commodities have shut down their borders. They say they are concentrating on their own local food security. The same thing in India, the same thing in China, the same thing in Vietnam. Most of these countries today, even if you go, you cannot find this quantum of food we are talking about. So the only way that we can get out of this mess is for government to go back to drawing board, support local production, support those that are engaged in value addition, then they can open up market boards so that at least they can be able to periodically control the price of food items in the country.
Earlier, Barrister Junaidu was talking about the policies that are in place and how they exacerbated the situation. But the government doesn't show any sign, perhaps, of tinkering with some of these policies, or rather reversing them where necessary. Cost of production, you know, as he said, was largely triggered by the rise in cost, petrol pump price, and so on. And then you also talked about, electricity hike and all of that. How do you think the government can navigate these challenges to be able to, crash the prices, or work with you to crash the prices as it is expected?
Yes, as I've said earlier, government need to go back and support local production. Government should make sure that a Nigerian farmer have access to affordable financing. Let there be an intervention program where a farmer with minimum difficulties go to the bank, get loan at a minimal interest rate, and fund his own production. Let the government also consider in supporting those that are engaged in value addition. Let them get intervention, let them get support from the government, then naturally the price of those commodities will come down. You cannot expect a government to increase price of petroleum, increase the price of electricity, increase interest loan on the banks, increase all sorts of things that are not friendly to common man, and yet expect that, that the price of output will come down. Certainly, it will not come down. On a final note, that government should call all these practitioners, let them have a roundtable discussion. Let's agree what happens despite the closure of Nigerian borders during the COVID-19 pandemic. The price of food items did not go up significantly. How comes gradually the rice and other agro-processing facilities have increased tremendously from units to probably up to 48 to 49 integrated rice mills across the country? How comes did a common man get quality and affordable agro input to support his own production? Remember very well that at the inception of the previous administration, there's a bag of fertilizer we call whistleblower, where it was stuck on the bag that it is 5,500. Any dealer that sold that bag of fertilizer above 5,500 then has consequences to face. And at that time, the price of food items were relatively stable. How do you expect me now to buy fertilizer, 50 kg of NPK 1515 at the cost of 50,000 naira, not 5,000, 50,000 naira, and you expect the price of rice, maize, and other commodities to come down? We know very well that it will not come down. So government, it is its own responsibility that once you want to control the price, then you have to, at least in agriculture, subsidize certain components or provide an intervention or make funds available for these farmers to get and scale up their own production capacity.
Yeah, so if I understand your position, there is need for the government to also look inward, look at its policies and how they are working, or otherwise, and then perhaps look at what was working before and why it was working, just like you said. You've perhaps already provided the answers to this, considering the fact that at the time all of this was happening, there wasn't increase in pump price, there was also no increase in electricity tariff and all of that. Perhaps you are still dwelling around, the policy options taken by the government as reason behind, this increase in prices of commodities and so on. And that is the starting point, if I get you right.
Yes, certainly, yes. Government need to reconsider its policy so that, you see, let me tell you, just like any other business person across in the country, the farmer is also a businessman. He needs to remain in his business. He needs fund to fund his own production activities. He needs to periodically scale up his production, probably cultivating from a hectare, probably to 2, 3, or 5 hectares, if there are support from the government. But a situation whereby he has to sell all what he has to fund his own production for this year, then he may not have interest to go back to the farm the following year. So this is an indication that the sector is suffering. So if government is interested in bringing the price of commodities in the market, they don't know what to do. As I've suggested earlier, let them make funds available for these people at affordable rate. Let them have access to quality and affordable input. Let them also get access to market. I can remember very well that His Excellency during his campaign, he made promises that he can be able to bring back market votes. He mentioned this in time without number, and this is the second year we have not seen any deliberate effort in that. So my advice to the government is that the government should reconsider, bring stakeholders on board, and make all-inclusive decisions so that at the end of the day, we have a friendly policies that can be able to give us a good result at the end of the day.
Right, okay. So there are some who are also looking at the need perhaps to bring back the commodity boards. You're still talking about pricing now because of the differentials, if you like. You go to different markets and you find different prices. Is it possible to, or rather, do you think the role of the commodity board, if in existence, would perhaps regulate the pricing, or even with that, it wouldn't change any situation? It wouldn't change the situation.
Certainly, yes. If the commodities board are on ground, and I've said earlier, government provide all this support and intervention to scale up people production capacity, then certainly price of commodities will come down and will stabilize. But when government does not have any form of support, then government has no reason to control what I'm doing. But if at all I'm getting support from the government, I'm getting loan at affordable rate, I can get quality and affordable input. Yes, I can have access to the market. The processing industries are on ground. They also have their own window probably in the intervention line to get funds and buy produce from those producers at a very good and encouraging price, then certainly every policy, every rule, every regulations that the government put in place, then certainly people will obey, people will be happily work with that, and government will see a result at the end of the day. But I'm telling you that whatever government rules and regulations put on ground, if there is no any support from the government, if there is no any intervention, then the general public will not have that zeal, will not have that courage to obey rules and regulations governing this. I'm sorry about that.
So if I understand, the 1 month moratorium is sort of, chasing shadows rather than facing the realities.
In fact, not even the moratorium. The policy it took is harsh, and I'm telling you it is unacceptable by Nigerians. So it is not issue of moratorium. Even if they put 1 year, probably 2 years moratorium, if there are certain things on ground, then certainly this thing will not work. But if they put certain things on ground, then naturally the price of those things will come down, and gradually those things, the prices will be stabilized. But you cannot force. What these people are trying to do is that they can force these people to bring about artificial scarcity. You know very well that I cannot go probably as far as a distance place to buy, pay logistics, whatever, provide security, pay taxes, both formal and informal, bring it to my warehouse, and you force me to sell a price that is not acceptable by me. What they are trying to do is that they can force these people to go and hide those commodities again and probably cause artificial inflation, and the price of this thing will jump up today and it becomes a problem to the nation.
All right, okay, thank you very much, Sadiq Daware, who is the Chairman, Agricultural Commodities Association of Nigeria, for your informed perspectives. And we also appreciate Barrister Junaidu Muhammad, Chairman Singa Market Development Association, who was on the platform earlier to also provide some insight concerning the attempt, at regulating prices of goods and services in Nigeria by the Federal the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, FCCPC. Thank you very much for participating on the show tonight. We appreciate you.
Thank you very much. You're welcome.
Okay, and viewers, that's a wrap on today's edition of Daily Politics. We do hope you find the conversation engaging. We had earlier, as is with the tradition of the program, to give you also opportunities to call in and share your perspectives so that we can widen the conversation. But due to some challenges, we couldn't do that. We appreciate you. We hope to do that next week, God's willing. Thank you very much for being there for us. And of course, on behalf of the technical crew, my name is Shafi'u, Suleiman, thanking you for investing your time with us.